Hello, welcome to Enchanted Crossing. Okay, so I'm diving into the Labyrinth Tarot. Now, why am I choosing the Labyrinth Tarot? For me, it was a bit of a children's, that time of, sort of diving into that storyline was a bit dark and sort of a gothy type of energy, very retro type of thing. And to me, the Labyrinth is that sort of very Halloweeny type of deck for me. Now, putting an oracle deck with this is quite tricky for me because I wanted something that was very Fae energy. And I do have another one, and I didn't think about doing this as well. I just thought of a second deck. The first deck I thought was Fae Forest. Now, I do actually want to include, just give me a second here while I just sort of dive into this, because this is going to take me a second. I've got to shift a few things around. I don't want to smash things in here. And so yeah, as I thought I would do. Now, just give me a second, because I do not want this all toppling down. Break the boxes. Okay, I did think of a second, I just thought of a second deck that I could use. It has sort of a goblin-y, sort of Fae energy, which is the Enchanted map with the Labyrinth. So yes, it's got that sort of childlike, darker energy. Childlike, Halloweeny type of energy. It can be a bit scary in some aspects. I mean, as a young child, I wouldn't call them as an adult, but definitely as a young child there is that sort of scary sort of energy. And so we've got the Enchanted map and the Fae Forest. To me, very much into this. Now, I know that it's not really a fairy deck as such, but it's definitely a Fae deck in some way, like with the gnomes and that sort of trolls and that sort of thing, which is why the Enchanted map sort of came into play. Now, again, it's that insight type of energy. It's that, yeah, I think it's, yes, definitely Insight Editions. It's a Jim Henson, of course, as we know from the story, with the foreword by Brian Froud, which is quite interesting. So, discover the secrets of the Labyrinth with this official tarot deck inspired by Jim Henson's cult classic film starring David Bowie, featuring Sarah, Jareth, Hoggle and more as a classic tarot characters in original illustrations. This deck also includes a forward from Brian Froud, artist and production designer on the original film. Okay, so we know the story of the Labyrinth, the movie. So I hope you know that story before we sort of dive into it too deep. Again, good little guidebook. Again, you got your forward. You've got your introduction, understanding your tarot deck. You've got your major arcana, your minor arcana, then your tarot readings with suggestions for caring for your deck, preparing to read tarot. Things aren't always what they seem. You have no power over me. The door knocker's conundrum, about the author, and then about the illustrator. So there's quite a bit to read in the book. It's for the major arcana, you've got a page and then a page for the illustrations. For the minor arcana and the court cards, you can see that within a page is a little image and the thing. Now, they are the colour of the cards. They've got that sepia toned, which I really sort of love. Yes, they're pip decks in that they're non-scenic. They're not the traditional Tarot de Marseille type pips. Of course, they're their own. They've got their own suits, of course, with the feathers being swords, the cauldrons being the pots being cups, the junk being pentacles, and poles being wands. Sorry, I had a bit of a blank suit there. So yeah, you got poles as being wands, you've got junk as being pentacles, you got feathers as swords, and pots as being cups. Pots as cups. Okay, so decent little guidebook, which is really cool, which you can dive into. There's quite a bit to read in it. Now, again, the cards are not going to be in order. I've edged them myself. That's the back of the cards. As you can see, I've edged a lot of my decks. So let's go through. So you can see the feathers there. Okay, and then we've got the characters within the movie. Like the teddy bear is a star. Then you've got the Queen of Pots. So you can see I love pip decks. It's not a problem for me for reading in regards to the tarot. Again, not a beginner's tarot deck, but then everybody reads differently. You've got to find what works for you. If you love these sort of pip decks and you work with you like the numerology and the suit things, or you understand the Rider-Waite-Smith method symbology of the cards, you can definitely read with this deck, no problem at all. Some people love pips, non-scenic pips. I do. Some people don't, and that's a personal choice. You know, you've got to choose what's right for you in regards to decks. I think that's super important. And remember, this is my ideas and what I want to do for me. You may or may not agree, and that's a personal choice, and that's okay. You do what you need to do for you. You know, it's like you choose what decks you have in your collection. That's your choice. You choose, you know, the artwork or the styles that you like, the cardstock that you like. I mean, that's all personal, and it's up to us as individuals to choose. You might choose how you store your decks. If I can, I like to put them into a box. If I can't have a box for the deck, because I don't like to use the tuck boxes, because I don't want the tuck boxes getting wrecked. I've got them stored away in a big box. I've actually got the boxes away in a big box. And then I have those ones in bags, of course. Some decks come without boxes altogether. They're in bags. Some of the boxes were ridiculously large, or two-piece boxes. A lot of the two-piece boxes I will put away into storage or put them away in display, because I don't want to use them. I think this is a bit of a ramble, I know, but I love this deck. I do love, I mean, this reminds me of my childhood, of course. So, or as a teen, really, more than anything, more than a child, more like a teenager. But David Bowie's very much as a teen. And so this was a real homage to him, really, for me, because I loved his music. But yeah, so you can sort of see the images here. I love the baby in this one. I actually quite like the sun card. Like, it's the baby riding on a rocking horse, of course, with this big sun. Then the King of Feathers is this owl, which I think is kind of cool. The wise owl. King of Junk. So I love, I've got to dive back into this again and get au fait with it and maybe a bit more deeper detail. But for me, when I'm reading for a client, I'm reading the tarot. I'm not going on about the story, I'm not going on about the movie or anything like that, about the characters or anything like that. I'm not diving into it too much. What I'm doing is I'm reading the tarot. I'm giving them a message about what they need to know. Look, if more information comes through because of the character, then that's cool. But generally for me, it's very much about reading the tarot. Do I understand what the tarot cards are telling the client? What message do I have for them? So yeah, I love it. You might hear some noise in the background. That's alright, it's neighbours. It's because we live quite close to each other. Magician. Pretty cool. There we are. So that's the Labyrinth Tarot. With the 4 suits, you can see the junk for the pentacles, the poles for the wands. Very clear. No, the pots for the cups, and feathers for swords. I mean, the suits are very, very clear. I mean, feathers for communication, for ideas. You've got pots for emotions and love, relationships. You've got poles for passion, creativity, desires. Can be very sort of work orientated, job orientated, if you like. And then you've got junk, which is very financial work, business, health, wealth, both the material and the physical aspects as well. So yeah, I think that's a great little deck, and I love it. Okay, my first thought was with this one here was the Dark Fairy. Okay, so it was the Fairy Forest, should I say, not Dark Fairy, the Fairy Forest, okay? So now the reason why I chose this one is because of the colours. I think the colourways are very similar. They've got that sort of, as you can see, if you look at these cards together. So let's have a look at the images, not in order in any way, but you can sort of see the colours go really, really well together. I know the fairies, but then you've got that King of the Darkwood Elves. I think that's why I sort of pick this. You've got Ragnarok. I mean, you can sort of see that sort of energy coming. Oh! I do not want to drop that. Okay, so you can sort of see the colourways are very similar. Otherworld type of darker energy here. Okay, now I know it has got the golden unicorn, so it's got the light in it as well. It does sort of, I feel like it gives it balance. The Fairy Forest does give it that sense of balance. Again, you've got the Green Man, you've got, so it's not a labyrinth type of deck, but I think it still gives it that sort of energy in many ways. You look at the Soul Kin. Oh, and I suppose with the ancient one, the ancient shapeshifter, Queen of the Darkwood Elves. So I think it does sort of give it that sort of connection in some way. Has that sort of foresty, fae, or it's got that fae energy anyway. So I think that's why I've chosen this one in particular. Instead of some of the other fairy oracle that I've got, the other fairy oracle like Healers of the Earth, I didn't feel like Healers of the Earth really it gives it a lightness, but it doesn't, I don't think it's, I don't know, for me. The Fairy Forest was more, was my first thought. So I quite like Fairy Forest. So let's have a look at the guidebook. Again, so this is a Blue Angel Oracle. Lucy Cavendish, of course, with the artwork by Maxine Gadd. Okay, Oracle of the Wild Green World. Okay, so again, a really good little guidebook. It's got all about the Oracle deck itself, the path into the Fairy Forest, how to work with the Fairy Forest Oracle, the cards, then it's got about the author and about the artist. So it does give you some spreads, the Fairy Forest spread, the Cycles of the Moon spread. It's interesting. The Celtic Cross, of course, which is normal, and the past, present, and future. So here we've got the Celtic Cross with the Oracle deck as well. So, I mean, and it does have the Fairy Forest tree spread, which is quite cool. And then it talks about all the cards. And so the cards, the pictures in the cards are black and white, and then there might be about a page of information there. You know, you've got about maybe just over half a page, maybe. I don't think it's a full page, it'd be more like half a page. So there you go. So yeah, not a lot of information per card, but I think there's more than enough to sort of get you going, remembering that you can use your intuition in regards to the titles or the meanings of the cards. As you can see, you've got your number, the title, and then a little description, a little keywords underneath. So that's the Fairy Forest. So the last choice I had to go with the Labyrinth was the Enchanted map Oracle. Okay, now this is a Colette Baron Reid deck. Okay, a 54 card deck. Now the artist. Illustrations by Gina Della Grottaglia Maldonado. Okay, now it is a Hay House deck. Again, two-piece, always two-piece boxed with Hay House. Never in a tuck box, remember. Always in a two-piece box. Always comes with a guidebook, the Enchanted map. Now, it's a good little guidebook, enough information. Again, with the meanings of the cards. Tells you how to use the cards, the purpose of the cards, how to do a reading, sample readings, and an explanation of 1 card, 3 card, 6 card, and then the soul's intention, and then it's got the actual card meanings themselves. And oops, let's have a look. There's no pictures in the guidebook at all. Doesn't show you. All it's got is the card number, the title, the a little bit of a saying there, a little bit of a poem there, a little bit of keywords, whatever you like to call it, and then it's got the meaning with the upright and reversed meanings in the book. So enough information to sort of get you started using the cards. Okay, that's the back of the cards. Again, I've edged them, and the cards will not be in order. And yes, it's a very light deck, but for me, there's a sort of a Fae, again, it's a sort of a Fae image, a Fae energy with this deck, even though it's very light. It does have, let me just grab the card that I was thinking about, which is why, there's Dragon's Lair, which sort of gave me that sort of energy from it. There's the Wizards and Awareness, there's the Goblin, there's that Mountain card. I think that gives me a very strong, there's a Ghostlands card, which gives me that sort of really strong energy here. There's Making Choices, very much about the Labyrinth. I think that's with the doorways and way to go and all that sort of stuff. I think that's very strong energy there. I think that was sort of the main cards that I sort of thought of in regards to Oh, hitting rock bottom, that card there with the pathways and things sort of made me think of the Labyrinth as well. Just seeing what other cards, and then I'll show you the rest of the deck. Oh, unexpected visitors, that was another one that sort of I thought of about with that. So yeah, let's show you the rest of the cards in this deck. Just a very quick look at what the cards are. And the artwork, I love this artwork. I love this deck. This deck, originally I had the original version, and I used it a lot in my readings face to face with clients, in a healing center, or in a psychic fairs and things like that. I felt it was a really good deck for reading. It did give me a lot of information. It was great. I found mediumship came through with some of these things. There was one with the flying horse with that, and that was quite an interesting card to come through for a reading in regards to a daughter that had passed, that had wanted a horse for her funeral. She was very sick before she passed. She was very, very sick. And so one of her last wishes was that she would have a white horse for her funeral. Unfortunately, her parents were unable to get a white horse and got a brown horse instead. And so the question was, where was my white horse? That was just a sort of, so I think the mother knew that it was her that was speaking. When she sort of asked, where was my white horse, the mother then realised who it was, that who had come through, and that I wasn't, that I was talking about exactly who had come through, that it was her daughter, and that I was being honest, that I wasn't, was too direct. It was something that I had no idea about, and I was like, why am I being told, where's my white horse? And the mother sort of laughed in a little way, but also many tears as well, with the messages that were coming through. So yeah, a beautiful deck to work with. Yeah, I've used it with different decks, but definitely with the Labyrinth, I think it's quite cool. Another one. So yeah. So we have the Labyrinth Tarot with either the Fairy Forest Oracle, and could also include the Enchanted Map Oracle. So let's have a look at the week ahead. I quite like doing the week ahead readings. What are we going to think about for this week? Because remember, they're just for reflection. These are messages for reflection. What are we going to reflect on this week? Ooh. Okay, so we've got 3 of junk. So we're going to think about our skills and our abilities. What are we creating? What are we making in our life? That's going to be a big week for us to be thinking about. We're going to reflect on. We're going to be thinking about how we can provide for others, maybe using our skills, using our abilities. Here we're going to be thinking about how we can create something in our life. We're going to be thinking about it. We're going to learn how we can be in control, how it can provide for our family in some way. And we have Knight of Feathers. So we're going to make sure that we plan and strategize before we go into battle, before we take action. We need to make sure, I feel like we're going into action, right? We're going to sort of move forward with this. It's going to be quite swift. It's going to be quite fast paced energy once we make a decision about using our skills and abilities to provide or to take control of our life, the direction that we're moving into. Interesting here. So let's have a look at the Dark Fairy card that could go with this week, this card for reflection. Okay, so what message are we going to get about for this week? Let me just, this one here seems to be pulling out. Here we have anticipation, event and celebration. But for me, I'm getting very much about the actual event itself, that sense of achieving the results we actually want. We're thinking about where we're going. We're gathering up all the information that we need. We're gathering up the people that's going to support us during, and the reason why I say support was with the when we create or we manifest with the Three of Pentacles here. I'm also getting like a group of people around, so you're getting that support that you need to manifest and create what you want in this journey, to be able to expand the horizon, to expand your journey, your sense of where you're going in this. Very, very interesting. And so, you know, be careful about you're going into battle. There's going to be some challenges, right? So you need to be able to get all the information you need. You need to gather all that information. You need to gather the people, with the anticipation of what's going to happen. You need to anticipate what's going to happen in this journey. So, okay, be careful about and I do feel it could be a little bit overwhelming. So I think you need to be quite careful about feeling like it's a little bit overwhelming in all of this. I think you need to be that's why I think you need to slow down a little bit with the Knight of Swords, or Knight of Feathers. Knight of Feathers is very much about rushing into things, and so maybe you're warning that if you rush into battle without any thought or any strategy, you're going to fall apart. So it's a bit of a pre-warning here, just to be aware of your instincts and when you're told to sort of slow down, feel it, know it, you know, trust it, in finding your sense of sacredness in this journey. So I think that's quite important here. We've got the sense of we're anticipating what's going to happen next, what's going to happen on, and to celebrate, to be able to celebrate, we need to make sure that we sort of slow down in our journey so we don't feel like things are overwhelming, that we're coming apart, it's becoming too much for us in some way. We've got to find a sense of sacredness within ourselves. We need to find a sacred space to be able to cleanse away the old and all the things that are feeling overwhelming, should I say, so we don't feel like we're overwhelmed, that we're feeling a little bit more calmer in that energy. So we're feeling like, okay, we've got the support we need, we've got that sense of creating something, we've got the skills, the abilities to manifest what we want, to create what we want in our life. We need to, in providing for others, maybe we feel like we're the provider, we're the one that's sort of got to take care of anyone. We're the one that's got to take care of everyone. So we're feeling a little overwhelmed. We're feeling like we're rushing. We're like a headless chook, rushing into everything without planning or strategy. This is a reminder to sort of slow down, take a moment to breathe, to focus on what we actually want to achieve, to be able to have that sense of direction that we're moving into. So we need to anticipate what we need. We need to anticipate what's important in this journey to find that sense, so that we don't feel overwhelmed. We don't feel like everything's falling apart. So this is sort of a pre-warning. Make sure we slow down a little bit. Make sure that we have that sense of sacredness within ourselves. We find a place, a sanctuary that we feel that's very sacred to us, that we have that moment alone to sort of recharge our batteries, take care of our needs, whatever's important to you at this time. Super, super important. Okay, so that's it from me. Don't forget to check the links down below. Check the links on my channel. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when the next video will be uploaded. Take care. Blessed be.